Man, in some ways it feels that way, doesn't it? Hard to imagine a more graphic changing of the guard than what we've seen from Bengals Steelers twice now this season, especially yesterday. Ron is in Cincinnati. Bob Pompiani is sitting in Ron's seat, feet not up on the desk yet. And Bob was also a wonderful teammate early in the show, Ron, I might add. He lent me his headphones. I swore loudly, luckily not on the air, when I realized that my headphones are either at home or in my car. And without hesitation, Pomp handed over his pair of headphones in a magnanimous gesture to open the show. That's what being a good teammate is. And Ron, we're both your teammates, but you're in Cincinnati. How are you?
I'm doing okay. A nice start to your week, Joe. I mean, do you have your glasses today? Are you discombobulated because of that defeat yesterday?
Everything. Are you at WKRP, Ron? Is there going to be a flying turkey promotion from where you are today, or what's going on?
No, I am not. I am not at WKRP, but they're pretty happy here in Cincinnati. I can tell you that, and I hope you guys are doing well. We're all certainly a lot better than the Steelers are today. Man,
I'll say. And I was reading all the series records that Cincinnati set yesterday, and it's too many to mention. You know, it's rushing yards, largest margin of victory since this, 3 in a row, 31 years. They haven't done that, just everything. But, Bob, I would be remiss if I didn't inquire as to your well-being and make a very public show of gratitude toward you for lending me your headphones. I can tell you're swimming helplessly over there.
Well, you're running the show, Joe, so I won't be able to hear much, but that's okay. You run the show. I'll respond to you guys. And, Ron, I hope you're doing well in Cincinnati. And, Joe, let's go. It's going to be an interesting 4 hours, I'm sure.
Well, let's go. Let's open the phone lines right now, as we do every Monday, I might add. 412-928-9370, 928-9370 if you want to weigh in on any aspect whatsoever of the Steelers-Bengals debacle yesterday, of the state of the Steelers. Maybe first, Bob, I should do a little unveiling here and get this over with. Horse, you may want to take a viewing here. I'm about to take my hat off, and underneath, look what you'll see, and the people at home on camera will see this too. Ready, Bob?
Are you going to take your headphones off first, or are you going to do it together?
Together, I think, would be the optimal way. Ron, I only wish you were here for this. 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
You like it, Horse?
Joe has gotten it all
like
the way
Mr.
down.
Clean.
I've gone full Malsey.
Wow.
Are you bald?
Pretty
He
much.
is.
Are you completely shaven?
A little stubble there.
Not completely, but a 0.5 clipper.
It looks good. I like it.
Do I look older, younger?
I think you look younger, actually.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Horse, your take?
Yeah, younger. I'd go younger.
Really?
Yeah, younger.
But a little bit bald, huh? If you saw me walking down the street,
I don't
you'd
think
say
that matters. There are a lot of really good-looking guys out there who are bald. You know, now you need a little goatee to go with that baldness.
I might grow that. But if you saw me walking down the street, you would say,
you covered it up
there
so
goes
quickly.
a bald
you
man.
Put the hat right back on, and we're inside, which is strange. That tells me you lack confidence right now. You're searching for who you are, and I just complimented you, and so did Joe.
No, I wear this all the time. I just feel warmer. I mean, you have to have some confidence to go full Mulsey, don't you?
Yeah, but you covered it right back up, so I wonder about the level of confidence.
Cold, because I have
it's
no
not
hair
cold
left.
in here.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
In my humble opinion, it is. That's subjective, Bob.
I have my hat on, and it ain't coming off.
And thank you, by the way.
Monday.
Thank you for complimenting me on the KDK postgame show yesterday with my Patriots prediction. That was very meaningful as well.
You said that from the beginning of the season, and when I first heard it, I said, well, that's a lot to expect from Mac Jones or whomever is going to be their quarterback. And, man, you bet on Belichick, and that's not a bad bet to make.
Well, who's betting on Tomlin right now in the AFC North? That's the question. Ron, your headline, your main storyline from this game is what?
Well, I think you already said it, the changing of the guard. I mean, clearly the Bengals are the better team, and I think I was on that bandwagon very early. And early on, I said with Joe Burrow, they're the real deal. The Bengals have a better quarterback. They have a better line. They have better receivers. Their running back is every bit as good as Najee Harris. Their defense is better. I mean, they're just a much better team with a much brighter future because of Joe Burrow. That kid impresses me so much. The decisions he makes, the throws he makes, and obviously Joe Mixon is a big-time running back. They're the real deal. I mean, they may end up winning that division. I could see that they already have blown out the Steelers twice. They beat the Ravens. I know they got skunked by Cleveland, if my memory serves. But I think they're the best team in the division.
Bob, your headline from that game is what?
Total disaster, 2 words. Nothing good. The only good would be Boswell, and he was on the field for maybe 4 plays. I mean, I got nothing out of it other than total disaster. I mean, when you're down that quickly, 4 straight possessions result in scores. There was no resistance whatsoever. This after a game last week where they got gouged in the running game, which was preceded by another game where they were gouged in their running game, which was preceded by another game which they were gouged by Justin Fields for 300 yards. Their defense is not very good right now. I know there are injuries, but total disaster.
Yeah, mine is sort of a combination of the two. It's just the changing of the guard. I think Mike Hilton might have mentioned that after the game. And sometimes, and Ron, you were on top of this, certainly before me, sometimes you need to see it really graphically to say, wow, it is that time. They're just better right now than the Steelers, as they should be, by the way, given where they've drafted for the last 50 years for the most part. But they are just more talented than the Steelers. And it reminds me, I know I talk about the Bills a lot, but it reminds me of the Bills of the late 1980s when they started to get good. And having followed them for years and years, and I'm sure people in Cincinnati are going through this, it's like, wait a second, are they really better than, say, the Merino Dolphins? Is this really happening? Do I really want to believe this? And after so many beatdowns, you have to say, yep, it's true. Just watch the game. Look at their receivers against these Steeler cornerbacks. Look at their advantage in the most important position on the field. And they remind me in some ways of those younger Bills in that they have the quarterback, they have a running back, they have a star receiver, a few really good receivers, an offensive line, and a good defense. Not great, but a good defense.
And improving.
And it just reminds me of that, Ron. And that's my takeaway is, wow, this is it. You know, this is the opening song here. It's changed. You knew it could happen at some point, but it's changed. The Bengals are way better than the Steelers.
Well, I mean, it all starts with the quarterback. And, I mean, we had the privilege of watching Ben his entire career here. And most days he gave the Steelers an advantage over the opponent. And now, I mean, Burrow, I'm not sure he's not in one of the top 2 or 3 young quarterbacks in the league. He should be. He was drafted number 1 overall, but it all starts with him, and they built an offense around him. And as you mentioned, the receivers, I mean, T. Higgins is outstanding. Tyler Boyd is outstanding. Jamar Chase, clearly good. Great. It looks like it could be a dominance for the next 5, 6, 7 years, the Bengals over the Steelers, until the Steelers can get better at quarterback.
Well, that's the question. I mean, to me, coaching and quarterback are now the big questions with the Steelers. And I happen to believe, Bob, that you can get better in one season at quarterback if you pick the right guy. Ravens got Lamar Jackson, 31st? Patriots got Mac Jones, 15th. Many teams have gone out and shored up their quarterback situation in one season. Tampa Bay, I mean, I could go through the list. Indianapolis.
But there are others who don't. I mean,
many don't.
Mac Jones has more wins than all the other quarterbacks drafted in that same first round combined. So, yes, you can expect guys to come in and change, and ultimately it may lead you there, but very few of them come right in and change. But, yeah, to your point, you can do that quickly. Mac Jones was a pick that, a lot of people, had a head scratching about just because of the way he looked. But all you got to do is look at his arm and what he was able to do with decisions and things like that. And he's playing very smart football in New England. And I think the game plan there, which to me is true everywhere, starts with a healthy run game. And all of these teams that have elite quarterbacks, most of them, if not all of them, have healthy run games. And that includes Tom Brady.
Ron?
I mean, The Steelers, I just can't believe, have gotten so bad so quickly. And I mean, I think we knew coming into the season that depth was a real issue for them. And if they got anybody hurt, they would be in trouble. And we've seen that with Alualu and Tuitt on the defensive line. The inside linebackers haven't been nearly good enough. Joe Hayden goes out, they fall apart. I just can't believe that they built around that offensive line and thought it was going to be better than what it was. They got a lot of weak areas. I know we're going to get into for the next 8 months about who they should draft. They could draft anyone. They got holes everywhere as far as I'm concerned, Joe.
Should they have drafted Najee Harris, Bob?
I don't have a problem, and I didn't with that pick. I thought, though, that they should have done some other things in the draft or free agency pertaining to their offensive line, which had 5 new starters, and they're relying on so many young guys. That's kind of a weird dichotomy there. You have a 39-year-old quarterback with a brand-new offensive line and a quarterback who needs protection, and it's a work in progress for those guys. And I'm certainly not saying that those guys won't turn out to be good players, but right now it's hard. You're baptism by fire, and it's a difficult assignment. They have nowhere to go. You know, it's interesting. Yesterday, Mike Tomlin said, yeah, there'll be changes. I'd like to know how you change. The only change I see is Zach Banner moving in and playing regularly. And on defense, I don't know what you change with the personnel that you have, because to me it starts there. Schematically, there are a lot of things they did wrong, and they have done wrong in the last several weeks. That's one thing that can change, because I think the game plan has not been very good week to week.
I don't know what they're going to change personnel-wise. Zach Banner, maybe? Is that about the only thing you can do with the offensive line? They don't have anybody. Now Spillane is hurt with a knee injury. They don't have anybody else at inside linebacker. It's just an absolute mess. I heard him talk about change, but what is he going to do, Joe?
Not much you can do. I mean, a big change would obviously be at quarterback, but I'm not sure that's necessary. But I am getting more sure. You know, last week I thought Ben played really well, but it's fits and starts, and he's no longer a dynamic player. And then you saw yesterday, and yes, it's all in combination with the line and with everything else, but this really has to be his last season. They have to put themselves in position immediately after the season to start looking. They do. They can't have the dance they had last year. It's pointless to bring him back. I mean, he can't get out of his own way. He can still make some throws. He can. But it's time to move on in that area, I think, for sure, after the season. So at some point, you may want to get more of a look at Mason Rudolph. I don't think you need one.
Time to do it for self-preservation purposes. You know, I didn't see the need for any of those guys to be in there late in the game, not with the injuries that they've had.
It was unbelievable that he had been out there.
It made no sense to me. I don't care what the explanation is. And then Freiermuth gets hit in the head in a game that was 41-3. You know, so
forget Ben. How about Watt, Cam?
Yes.
Hayward is the big guy.
Now they came out the last series when Cincinnati got the ball the last time. They were out of. I asked Tomlin why, and he growled, you know, we need work. We weren't playing well enough. I mean, I know he was frustrated, and I think he'd have kept them out there all night if he could have. But the fight was long over. You know, Watt would have got hurt in that situation. Hayward, I mean, not that maybe it's going to matter the rest of this year the way they're headed with the schedule, but I couldn't believe he kept all those guys out there.
Great question to him and a ridiculous answer. You know, Cam Hayward needs work, really. He needs to be out there in that situation. T.J. Watt coming off an injury, clearly didn't look himself. And your quarterback, who's been broken in half for half the season, he's out there at 41-3. And I keep hearing ex-players defend this. Like, oh, you got to do this. You got to fight till the end. Really? Because in the first game of the season, Green Bay fell behind New Orleans 38-3 with 11 minutes left in the game. 11 minutes. And our friend Guy Lafleur pulled Aaron Rodgers and pulled other key starters. You know why? Because that's smart. This crap is just false bravado. The time to show toughness and heart was in the first quarter, not when you're down 41-3. Be smart then.
Right. I agree with that. And here's the other thing. What happened earlier in the season with Deontay Johnson, who was in the game way too long, making a catch, hurt himself, missed the next game? You may say, well, that's part of – yeah, it is. But when games are over and when there's no legitimate chance to win a game, I don't think you have to play players who are so important to you, given all their injuries. Why would you want to pile on that in a game like that. And you're right. We talked about this yesterday. Chris is on with me as he is with you guys, and he's an old school guy. He defends that. I don't. I disagree with it 100%. I think it's the wrong way to go. And I understand that point of view. You know, you're a player, like Cam Hayward said, hey, I'm a 4-quarter guy.
The players will always want to stay in. It's the coach.
The coach
is supposed to be the adult in the room.
I'm doing this because the game's over and I need you. That's a simple explanation, and it's the most rational explanation you can give.
Ron?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You know, he doesn't want to show his players he's going to quit, and they shouldn't want to quit either. But sometimes common sense has to prevail. I noticed when the fourth quarter started yesterday, Zach Taylor had his guys out of the game with that big lead. I don't know that Tomlin would have taken out Ben, but it's not just Tomlin. I've seen Belichick leave in Brady when they're up 30 points. I mean, all coaches seem reluctant to take their stars out, and I can't say I get it all of the time.
Me neither. That's why I commend LaFleur. You're down 38-3, and Aaron Rodgers is your ticket to anywhere you're going. Why in the world would you keep him in? Because his teammates will all think, yeah, we're showing we don't quit. Well, sometimes there's a time where you just say we're done.
That's the wrong day to do it because they never started. If you're gonna challenge someone to say, what do you got? I want to see your character. Where was that message at the beginning of the game?
Yeah, if anything, you're sending a message at the end. Get the hell off the field after this performance. Get out, you know? That part too. Coming up, what about Mike Tomlin? And what about his future? I tried to articulate this in the Post-Gazette, and it's not so much fire Tomlin like today, like Green Bay did with McCarthy late in the season. It's more of, can we at least have a conversation about his job security? Is there a conversation to be had? 412-928-9370, or is he just coach for life, period, end of story? Is he the right guy to preside over a transition here to whatever they're going to become? A slow transition, a fast one? I don't know. Is he the right guy here? And what's the magic number of years without playoff wins? 10? And we're up to 5 if they don't win one this season. Is it 8? You just go on forever? You just go on for a decade and a half? I don't know. When can we at least have a conversation about it without feeling like it's madness or that's never going to happen? When's it appropriate to have that conversation? 412-928-9370. Ron is in Cincinnati. Bob is across from me. Headlines were also brought to you by the super low home equity rate at Dollar Bank. Visit dollar.bank, equal housing lender. Bob Pompiani brought to you by PNC Bank. PNC, make today the day. And off the top, brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding. Yes, of course, we're going to get around to Horses Broncos. He's walking on air today. Look in there, Bob. Listen. The Broncos are ahead of the Steelers.
That's another thing. They took on the Chargers, a team that gouged the Steelers, and the Chargers could do nothing against the Broncos.
They also might have taken the right guy in the draft. Like, I like Najee a lot. I do. I'm not convinced he was the best running back coming out of that draft. Javonte Williams.
But they needed
Javonte
a
Williams
guy.
Has a little more electricity to his game. Najee doesn't, and I know a lot of this is the line. I get it. But even at Alabama, he didn't have the breakaway ability. And this guy for the Broncos is a maniac. I mean, he is electric. We'll talk about all that. Talk about all of it coming up. Cook, Joe, Bob.